DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening and welcome to Tonight on DJNTV. I'm John Young, your host, and tonight we're going to be talking with one of the probably the longest writers for the Disc Jockey News, and Mike Lenstra. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, John. Happy National DJ Day to you.
Yes, I've been seeing these signs or the little memes and such today, and it's like somebody, when I mentioned, that we should be taking, when you mentioned earlier, we should be taking the day off, I'm thinking to myself, does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Maybe there was that one time, but I mean, it's like Christmas Day. Yay, we're going to spend it with the family. Ding, there's a message. Oh, John, I got a question for you. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe next year for National DJ Day, we can do like a virtual parade or something.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll have everybody parade their favorite piece of vinyl across the screen, and we'll stitch them all together as the official DJ parade.
Live.
That'd be fun. So tonight, gang, we're going to be talking about the upcoming show in February coming to the South Point Casino. This is the DJNTV DJ Convention, and Mike's going to be one of the presenters. There's a whole list of presenters. To see more information about the show, go to djntv.com/show. SHOW. That takes you over to the page that has all of the speakers listed and the times and the schedule and the master classes. It's all there. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to start dropping in these little video segments that we've done so you can actually go and watch and say, what's this person going to be speaking about? Boom, you can go there and you'll learn more about what they're going to be talking about in Vegas at the upcoming show. If you want to get tickets, there's actually two deadlines we're coming up to. First off, it's the January 31st deadline. That's when the $225 ticket full show pass is going to be expiring. You got to get that, djntv.com/tickets. Use promo code DJNTV Show 2020. All of this is in the description. The other probably bigger is the hotel block. When we hit 1 month out, the hotel may decide to bump up the prices because our contract only goes 1 month out. So if you haven't gotten your room yet, go out djntv.com/show, the show at the top. At the top there's a spot for booking your hotel room. $69 a night rooms right now. Where they go after the 30 days, we have no control over. So get your room now. You can always remove a night if you're not going to be there, but get the room so you don't lose that great rate. So, Mike, that's our commercial. So we can get on with our show tonight. So Mike, for those who don't know you, kind of give us the little elevator speech about who is Mike Lenstra.
Well, I guess I'm born and raised here in Dubuque, Iowa, and I've been in the DJ business. We just wrapped up year 25 in 2019.
Congratulations!
Yeah. And it was kind of funny. I think, as I find out, John, it seems like most of us don't actually grow up going, oh, when I get out of school, I'm going to be a mobile DJ.
No, not so much.
We all seem to kind of like we've stumbled into it, which is kind of what happened to me. I had spent several years in community theater, mostly behind stage doing, the light board was really kind of my home. But then I think my wife and I were just married like maybe a year or so, and we were expecting child number one, and we got a pen out. We went, daycare, diapers, bottles. Oh my, maybe one of us should think about getting a part-time job to help supplement this income. And it just happened to be that one of the friends that I have gotten to know at the community theater said, well, I have gotten into the DJ business. He said, and this is just as much fun as the theater is, but we get paid. And he told me that the company that he was working for was hiring, and I went out and I talked to them, and they hired me, loved it, and just began to start there. Eventually, that company, this is like in the 90s, but they were still doing vinyl records, and they weren't going to be around much longer, so I ventured out onto my own. And again, it was still a part-time business, and then finally in 2008, we had grown so much, I said to my wife, I'm like, this is like having two full-time jobs. And fortunately for me, she let me get to pick the one that I really like to keep. And so since 2008, then it's been my full-time career.
So when was your first experience going to an educational event of any sort that was kind of related to your mobile DJ business?
It was actually 1999. It was I think it was called the Mid-America DJ Conference in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was my first experience of going to anything like a DJ conference related, and there was just so much that I learned there that I just almost began to make it a habit to. I try to seek out something educational at least once a year. Sometimes that might be a DJ conference. Sometimes it might be just something here on the local end through our chamber. I know they did like a strengthening your business core program a few years ago. They also have what they call a business builders breakfast. I try to participate in many of those, but I've just found that you can never know too much.
Mm-hmm. So with the you've been in Louisville, you've gone to a variety of different conventions around the country. A couple of highlights that of moments at some of these training events that have been like an eye-opening experience for you, where you were like, oh wow, the world is a completely different place to a point in your business after that moment.
You know, there seems to be one at every event that I've been to. I can honestly say that I've never gone to some type of educational event where on the trip back home that I've said, well, that was a waste of money. I really think probably one of my favorites had to be a mobile beat out in Las Vegas. I think it might have been 2013 or 2014. I remember Jay Brannon.
Brandon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brandon. I get that confused all the time. But I remember Jay being there, and he did a seminar called The Last CD DJ. He was telling us how he was adamantly never going digital. And then he went digital, and then he was telling us why. And yes, and I remember that, and I remember a seminar that with Randy Bartlett, and Randy said something at that seminar that has really stuck with me, and I still use kind of that line today. In fact, I met with a couple today, and I was telling them that. I remember Randy saying, you know, people really don't dance to music. Of course, he's telling this to a room full of DJs, and we're all kind of looking at each other like, okay,
right. Mm-hmm.
Where's he going with this? But Randy said, people really don't dance to music. They dance to moments. And after he said that, that just really kind of changed my outlook, that my job isn't just to see what kind of great mixes I could come up with as much as it is maybe to see how I can help couples create those moments in their wedding day.
Nice. That's always kind of neat to hear other people's takeaway, some of those really touching, or those moments that have touched them in their lives from different conventions. Because you and I've been to a lot of conventions, and we've been to many times the same convention, and we'll see two completely different takes of the show, just because of coming at it from different perspectives and different points in our careers, or even different moments in the year of our families and what have you. So it's kind of a neat thing to talk about that. Speaking of kind of our life and our careers in different things, let's talk a little bit about the presentation you'll be doing Wednesday. What was that at 2 or 3 o'clock on Wednesday?
I believe it was 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Wednesday, yes.
Yeah, now you guys can go out to DJNTV.com/show. That'll take you right over there where you can see the full schedule. What was the impetus behind the topic and such for this year's presentation you're going to be doing in Las Vegas?
I call it Life's a Lesson. And I have just found, even though I think the conferences are great, I really recommend them to everyone. Books, DVDs are all great educational pieces, but I've just found that is just as many lessons in everyday life if we just pay attention. And I've in different situations I've found those lessons, and I've actually been able to kind of use them into my business.
Give me an example of a situation that life lesson that fit into your business and really was beneficial to you.
Okay. Well, I'll go with a television show, John. Mm-hmm. I think it was maybe the first year that Cheers was on. This is, I believe, well before I started DJing, so I probably picked this up on a rerun. But there was an episode of Cheers, I remember, and if any of our viewers are not familiar with Cheers, I guess the kind of the 10-cent plot here is Cheers is a bar in Boston, and the story revolves kind of around the regulars there. And in one show, Norm, who's the kind of the resident barfly, comes in and he tells the rest of the gang he's been chosen to orchestrate the company party this year. And they have to come up with this theme. He doesn't know how or what he's going to do here. So they help him, and they all tell him a toga party. A toga party is the way to go. So George or Norm lines up the toga party. They cut the scene to the night of the party, and the bar is completely full, but dead silent. This is one of those no fun companies, apparently, until Norm breaks through the door and yells toga, and of course he's the only one there in the sheet. And there are a couple small jokes in there. It's obviously the dead party. They have a band. The band strikes up, and everyone groans. And Norm says, "I can't believe. I mean, they sounded so good on the phone," he said. But a little bit later, they find out, well, here, part of Norm's responsibility was to get a date for the company boss. Well, the company boss walks in. Here, he was a lot younger and better looking than people anticipated. So the bar's cocktail waitress Diane volunteers to be the boss's date. Kind of cut a little bit further. The boss is getting a little handy with Diane. Norm has to intervene, and they throw the boss out, and the boss leaves saying, Norm, you're unstable, you're fired.
Right.
And it's at that point that all of a sudden the whole vibe of the party picks up. Norm, is it true you punched out the boss? And everyone is now in a party mood, and the band strikes up, and everyone begins to sing along, and now it's a party. And when I saw that, I realized how often do we feel like that band? How many times have we been put in a situation that it seems like no matter what we do, the demographics are just not right, the mood is not right? I mean, how often have we felt like that band? But then I had to think a little deeper into it and go, what could that band have done to get ahead of that, to prevent that in the first place? And looking at that, I realized, and maybe in situations that I may have stumbled in like that, maybe I needed to do a little homework ahead of time to be prepared for a scenario like that, and maybe come up with some ideas on how to work around it, how to create the vibe that we're looking for.
So, instead of the situation where the band in that particular case was waiting for the vibe to happen for them to catch on and be part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Maybe sometimes we think we're waiting for the crowd, but maybe the crowd is just really waiting for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was when I've spent time training DJs. That's one of the things we've talked about is early on, we've got to be the spark. Once you get to a point, generally the audience becomes that spark, and then we can feed off them. But as you're kind of building this, is that we've got to be that spark in many, many events to get people up and excited and moving around. So neat. So with the presentation, you're going to be talking, of course, about the life lessons for your business. But I mean, there's been a lot of personal things that have, I think probably changed your perspective. And I say yours, and you and I've had conversations about this where both of us have been feeling this. And talk a little bit about that, about how your perspective in the last 10 to 15 years, 5 years has kind of changed and evolved with your business and such. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, when we began, it was because we were expecting child number one here. And well, now we have 3 children, and I have a son and 2 daughters. I know a few years ago, our oldest daughter was, we call her our overactive daughter. I mean, she's in everything. And during high school, she began to limp. And so we were taking her to the doctor. We were trying to see what the cause of this was. Well, they came up with 3 or 4 different scenarios, nothing seemed to help. But it was when she went off to college, she had gotten on the color guard team. And so they said, well, they would take a look at this. And they sent her to their team doctor only to find out that there was nothing wrong with her leg at all. They diagnosed her with cavernoma. And if you're like us, you probably never heard of that.
No, certainly not.
Yeah. Essentially what it is it's a brain tumor. And here she had a brain tumor. They figured, for maybe up to 2 years or more. And so they, of course, had no choice but to remove it. They let her finish off the year there of that first semester of college. And they sent her to the University of Iowa Hospital where that cavernoma was removed. But by that time, it had gotten so big that when they removed it, it left a cavity in her brain, which in essence left her completely paralyzed on her left side. And so she was not able to return to school that year. Instead, she had to go through like 6 or 7 months of hard physical therapy. And, going through an incident like that, John, you kind of reevaluate things a little bit.
Exactly.
I know I had read once I'll have to look up the singer again, but somebody had said something to the effect that, we do what we do under the disguise that we're doing this for our family. We can get this extra financial security. But in truth, what we're doing is, we all want to see how successful we can be. No one wants to bring our kite back in when we feel that we can still fly it a little bit higher.
Sure.
And, I looked at that and I realized that. And I know something about being alongside your 19-year-old daughter's bedside and realizing that she's paralyzed. That makes you reevaluate a whole lot of things.
Certainly.
And I had to do some reevaluation. And so now things that were maybe essential, I thought, before that incident are not nearly as important now. I almost like chuckle under my breath when I'm at the bank or at the fast food line and people are getting really upset because the line's not moving fast enough. And to me, that's just not important at all anymore.
Right.
How long it takes me to get my burger really isn't the end of the world type thing. Yes.
So that changed your perspective. How did that affect when you're talking to brides and you're talking to them about their day in that sales process? How did that evolve and change for you when you were having those conversations, or did it have an effect on that?
Well, I guess maybe yes and no. I pretty well still use kind of some of my same formula in my presentation, but I think it almost became more of a relaxed atmosphere. It wasn't like a hard sell, like find out what their objections are and meet them, or tell you what, are you ready to get this part of your wedding planning process behind you and sign on the dotted line today? Things like that. Again, I'll make a presentation, and if this couple looks like they are eager to say, oh my God, yes, put us down, we'll draw up the paperwork. If they seem maybe like they're not ready, like they're apprehensive, I'll tell them to take the information that I've given them, look it over. If there's questions that they have, feel free to get back in touch with me. Would it be okay if I maybe followed up with you here with an email or a text, and by the end of the week or something like that? Whether I book that wedding or they decide that I'm not a right fit for them, it's not the end of the world to me.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. We got a few more minutes here, Mike, before we have to wrap up.
Sure.
Jumping ahead to Vegas, February 24th through the 26th. Mike will be on stage February 26th, Wednesday afternoon. You guys can, again, check that out, djntv.com/show. What is, for the people who are going to be at the seminar, what's a couple of the takeaways? What are a couple of things you want them to be leaving with after your presentation?
Okay. I would say I'm hoping that they become more present again, I know they might be grabbing a book, they might be searching for a DVD to find maybe that next nugget that will help their business. But again, I think if they just open their eyes to other situations around them, they'll see those. I'm hoping that that resonates with them a little bit, and then I'm hoping also that we kind of re-examine just where our life work balance lies.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very, very critical thing. And as we've been getting a little farther along in the industry, you can see those moments that balance can be out of balance, but how important it is to try to keep it in balance as much as possible.
Yeah.
Keep the priorities.
Yeah.
You mentioned, and I didn't even think about. I wanted to talk about this earlier. A book. I mentioned at the beginning, of course, that you've been a writer for the Disc Jockey News for a long time, but this you've recently published your first book. Kind of tell us a little about that.
Yes. Well, and this kind of came when we had made the decision that the Disc Jockey News was going to end as a print publication. It was just kind of a bucket list thing for me. I decided, how many bands put out a greatest hits album? And I just really thought I would really want to do this a little differently and see if I could take a collection of some of the articles, which I thought were maybe my best pieces, and compile into a book. And so myself and I have an editor that I work with, Chris Feldman, his name is. Him and I kind of sat down and went through the 8 years of past articles, and we really tried to find ones that were kind of the best pieces, but also maybe were themed kind of with the story that we wanted to tell. And then we gathered several of those up and put them together, did some editing, and then took them to a publisher it was just about a year ago. I believe we came out April 1st is when we had the book published.
And of course, I just put the link in the comments section for The Way I See It. And
which is also the name of my column. Yes.
Yep. And that 25 years behind the turntables, decks, and laptops here. So you guys can go. It's out on Amazon. And it's interesting. The customers who bought your book, Mike, also bought This Day in Music.
Oh,
the two of them are Amazon suggestions. So you guys can pop out there. Hey, Tony, thanks for joining us here, being with us on the chat and such. So presentations coming up in February, and you'll be speaking there. The book you've got out. What as we look ahead into the next couple of years, what are some of the things that you're seeing for yourself and for your business that you're kind of looking forward to, or kind of have got on the radar as you go forward?
Okay. Yeah. Well, as far as the business, I did hit. As I joke, I became a sexogenarian this past year, which isn't as racy as you think it sounds.
It sounds really bad.
Yes, it just means that I've hit the ripe old age of 60. So at this point, I'd actually said to my wife, I'd really like to get through year 25 and then just see where we go from here. And 2019 was year 25. And so I'm already pretty well filled up with weddings for this year. But I think as we kind of start getting a little further down the road here, I can see myself doing less weddings. I have been doing more corporate events, some trivia programs that I've been doing.
Sure.
And I think I'll kind of maybe see if I can do some more of those to maybe take me to retirement age. And who knows? I mean, maybe I'll end up just doing polka parties at the nursing home when I'm 70. Yeah.
But for those who are wondering, I mean, your wedding business you're not seeing a downturn in that. You've been consistently.
No, I have not. In 2018, John, I booked 99 weddings, and going into 60 years old, I would never would have thought of that. I should say, I didn't do all 99 myself.
Right, yeah.
I do have a couple guys that I regularly subcontract, but I would still say that I did over 50% of those myself.
Wow.
And in 2019, then it was almost, we booked a little less, but that was almost consciously because I just found at that volume of 99, you were really kind of taking a chance and missing some details. And
Right.
I'm still more about quality than quantity.
Sure.
And of course, now with the year 2020, it's kind of a well-known thing in the wedding industry that it must be just that magical number like the year 2000 was, that I think we're pretty well have a wedding every weekend from the first weekend in April until Halloween now.
Nice.
We have at least one, two, I mean, sometimes, more than three in a weekend.
Wow.
But so it has the wedding, the wedding industry, the weddings have not slowed down for us at all.
Very nice. Congratulations on that. That's a great thing for a lot to be striving for, to be having a successful business and then having some staff that you can count on to be part of that is really impressive.
I've been really fortunate. The couple of guys that work with me, and they've been with me for several years, they are just as passionate about this as I am, which is a really big plus.
Excellent. Mike, we're going to wrap things up. If people would like to reach out and say, hey, they picked up the book, they want to get in touch, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, they can pop me an email right through the Disc Jockey News. They're just Mike@discjockeynews.com.
Mike, it's Michael Lenstra. The full name.
Okay, that's what we have. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Michael Lenstra at discjockeynews.com. Yes, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's perfect. That way.
I'm actually hoping when I'm out in Vegas to give some books away, and I'm hoping to do a little trade thing. But I would trade some of these books for some business cards, because when I do my articles, I always like to get some different perspective.
Right.
And so the more DJs that I can meet, kind of put in my Rolodex, the more people I can go to get some perspective on some of the subjects that we're writing about.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a great idea to be able to connect with more people, because it's always neat to talk to people from around the country who have different perspectives and ideas. So
yeah, I've had the pleasure since 2011 when I began writing for the Disc Jockey News of getting to meet different mobile DJs from coast to coast, and just getting. I mean, I didn't realize that when I started that different areas of the country have different routines or ways that they maybe do their weddings. And that's been an education that I've gotten. And I always love to hear, because of that, some other perspectives on some of the subjects that we write on.
Yeah, excellent. I'm hoping that we've got our chill room and such, so you'll be able to spend some time and talking. And if you're going to be with us in Vegas, say hi to Mike, say hi to myself, say hi to all of our DJNTV team. We're here to get to know you guys and to be able to really thank you for being part of our family and watching shows on a regular basis. So, Mike, thanks for being on tonight. I've enjoyed our time together, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in February.
All right, we'll see you then, John. Looking forward to it.
I'll be back in about a half an hour. For those of you watching, we'll be coming back with how to price your photo booth business, and that'll be on our PBN TV channel in about 30 minutes. Thank you much.